country. We're going to keep our country. We will save this country. And the Lord said, go get some reinforcements. Build yourself an army. And boy, let me tell you, did I. And if people think that we're going to stop fighting for our freedom and liberty, they got something coming. They got something coming. All right, guys. I am live on Stand Out America today with La Conservadora, yours truly, Bianca, Gracia. And joining me tonight is Jeff Zink out of Arizona running for Congress. Jeff Zink, I told you guys, was instrumental in the Arizona audit, the forensic audit. We love him. And I wanted to bring him on tonight to give us an update about what's going on in Arizona and all kinds of other things that we can talk about tonight. I wanted to interview him on my Getter. This will be rebroadcasted again on Friday night during my normal time, guys, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. You'll see it on, you won't be live on Getter. I'm live tonight on Getter because I will be out of pocket on Friday. So I was explaining that to Jeff. So I am going live tonight. You guys get a sneak peek at what I'm going to be talking about Friday on the rest of the platforms. But anyway, we welcome you tonight on Stand Out America with yours truly, Bianca, Gracia, and joining me again, Jeff Zink. Jeff, welcome to the Stand Out America podcast with yours.
Well, thank you, Bianca, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And as always, my love for Texas, I reach out. I love you and your husband and stuff. And I'm so glad that we get this time to share and to let people know what's going on.
Well, we love you. We love your wife. I'll never forget our little late night at IHOP with Shelby and her partner there. And so we just had a ruckus out at IHOP, eating our pancakes in the middle of the night, and just we were, I think, maybe red pilling some people that were nearby. I don't know. They were listening to everything we were saying. So I love Arizona. Listen, I got to tell you, the last time I was in Arizona, you guys had that the election integrity thing right before the primary. It was the weekend right before the primary, and I remember leaving with my coworker Carl, and we were like, I don't remember. We had to be somewhere. We had to go somewhere. I don't remember. I guess we had to go back to the hotel because we had a dinner. We had dinner or something going on. And Jeff, I got to tell you, all of a sudden I saw like this weird stuff in the sky, and it was like, what is that? And he was like, get in the car now. And I'm like, what is, like, it was like reddish, brownish, like weird in the sky. It was like rain, but not rain. And he goes, yeah, this happens all the time. And he's like, it's like a sandstorm. So they don't get rain here. They get a sandstorm. And I said, what are you talking about? I was driving through this like storm of like dust or desert dust. I don't know, sand. It was the craziest thing. I've never seen anything like it. I just about freaked out. It was like if it was raining, but it wasn't rain. It was like dirt.
Yep.
Never.
What we call them here is haboobs, and when it rolls in, you've seen them on The Mummy, where you have this wall of sand that's actually following you, and it's about 1.5 miles high, and it's just very ominous. And then when it finally reaches you, then the cloud turns the color of our sand, which is a reddish type sand, and then it starts raining the little mud balls there. And then finally, if it rains hard enough, it'll actually knock all the sand and dirt out of the air, and now it's crystal clear and everything else. It's just that your car is completely muddy.
It is the most horrific thing I've ever seen. I was like freaking out. I was like, should I like pull over? Should I not do something? But Jeff, I'm gonna bring in my conservative Codi here, my partner in another partner in crime at Latinos for America First. She's gonna join us on this podcast. So here she comes in. Here is our conservative Codi. Meet Jeff Zink. Jeff, meet conservative Codi. Letting y'all know that she is going to be taking on the podcast battle lines in the fight for, America First candidates. She's going to be interviewing from now on. And Jeff, because you are a dear friend, I told her I wanted to do your interview, but she is going to be interviewing all of our endorsed candidates from up until election. She will be interviewing and talking to them and making sure that we get the word out. And so Conservative Codi's on with us tonight. She will be on Sundays at 6:30. And like I said, or 6, is it 6 or 6:30?
6 Central Time. 6, yes.
6. Okay, 6 Central Time. She will be interviewing all of our candidates that we've endorsed at Latinos for America First. And so in case that nobody knows, Jeff, our PAC, our federal PAC endorsed you. And so now that Conservative Codi's on here, Jeff, be looking out for a check. We are sending a check out. We've got a couple of candidates we're sending out checks to. Hopefully we'll get some more money in September and we'll be able to send another check. But for right now, we want to bless you with some funding. I don't know, for your hard times, anything you see, fit for your needs. I don't know, sending out text messages, whatever you need in your campaign. But we're definitely, you're one of our chosen ones. And so Codi, I was actually talking to him right now. There was a poll that was done, in his district. So tell us a little bit about, I want people to hear a little bit about your district. What is the background of your district? What is this? What are you looking at in Arizona? What does that territory look like?
Okay, so Congressional District 3 actually goes from just above Sky Harbor all the way across to southeast Glendale, encompasses Maryville, Laveen, and South Mountain and South Phoenix area, and then catches just a small part of Guadalupe. So it's a fairly large, but it's highly dense population, and it's primarily Latino. We have 67% Latino that lives in that area. So the thing is that while the Democrats like to divide and separate, I'm old, you're young, Codi, you're female, Bianca, I'm male, we can't get along, we can't do, they try to play all these games. And what's funny is that they said, well, we can't have an old white guy that is conservative Republican represent us because the Latinos, they aren't represented by somebody like me. And I said, really? Well, the thing is that do they not want good schools? Because I'm all for really good schools for critical thinking skills, not critical race theory. I'm all for the defending the police and actually funding them instead of defunding them so that our women and our children are safe. And then last, I'm all for good jobs for men and women to provide for their families. And they go, okay, well, that's what we want. And I go, exactly. But the thing is that this district has been Democratic for 22 years. And to give you an idea of the Democratic policies that's been in place, in 2000, 12% of the constituents were below the poverty line. Today, it's well over 70%. So in 22 years, we have lost most of our manufacturing, most of the jobs. There's nothing there for people to work. If you do have a job, you're going to have to drive outside 30 minutes to get someplace so you can get employed. Well, the gas prices that are so high, the taxes that we're paying, people are now having to sit and look at, do I fill up my gas tank and go to work, or do I eat? And that's literally what's happening here in this district. So the thing is that it's time for a change, and we actually need to have that change take place in this election.
Amen to that. Jeff, I came out to your district and visited your district. We did a faith leader breakfast there. We had a, leadership meeting there, and I got out with you. You walked out, we sat and talked about strategy. And I said, Jeff, they don't care if you're white. You go have a conversation with them, go talk to them, go to their door. I know that you've been walking that district. You've been walking into businesses. We walked into a business. We were able to talk to these business owners that have really been hurting. They told us that themselves. They really have been hurting. And no one had really gone to have a conversation with them. And obviously I said, well, I mean, what have you been doing? I mean, like, how do you vote? Do you go speak out? Do you go and talk? Do you go and express, your concerns and issues with the people that represent you? And has there been any change? And they're like, well, no, it's getting worse. And I'm like, well, don't you think that maybe it's time to make a difference, to do something maybe that you're not used to doing? But I mean, what do you got to lose, right, at this point? And so I remember having those conversations. Yeah, and you're right. Walking around your district, it's the poverty level is definitely high. We saw it out in the streets. Our heart was hurting for the people of your community, and so I hear that you're making good strides. You've been out there talking, showing up at their events and just having a conversation with them. Their representative is not currently having that conversation with them.
Right.
So and they've received you, obviously.
Well, and what's really interesting is that about 3 months ago, there was a poll that was taken, and I had closed the gap I was 8 points behind Ruben 3 months ago. I got a phone call from a congressman that said that they had sat in the Republican National Committee hearing or Congressional Committee, and they said that we cover all of the different congressional races throughout the entire United States. And your name came up, and I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know. And I was like, okay, well, that's really good. And he goes, no, you don't understand. We spent 30 seconds to a minute on every one of them. But when we came to yours, we spent 15 minutes talking about how was it that in a plus 55 Democratic stronghold, and the thing is that people need to understand something. It was a plus 38 before the census took place in 2020. Now that they've done the gerrymandering, it's now plus 55 in my area. And they said, you have moved the needle so significantly, we don't understand what you're doing. Well, first and foremost, if you understood my testimony about what happened 40 years ago when I was playing football and I fractured my neck and I started having migraine headaches. Well, over the 40 years, I had headaches every day, but the migraines started becoming more intense and more frequent. That 9 years ago, I walked into Burroughs ER with a blood pressure of 248/198. I should have died that day, but God had a plan for me. But what happened was over the next 5 years, the doctors couldn't figure out why my headaches were becoming so intense and so frequent. I became 100% disabled. I lived on a couch in bed, and I paced the floor for 2.5 years. On December 24th of 2020, I prayed a different prayer because I had been praying because I'm an ordained minister, deacon in my church. I taught at a Christian university. It's not like I wasn't reaching out and talking about Jesus Christ to people and leading them to him. But I was on this couch for so long. And so that night I prayed, Father, whatever you want me to do, wherever you want me to go, I will do that, and I will be your faithful servant. So, Bianca, as you're sitting in front of me, God appeared in front of me, and he said, I'm going to break your headaches, I'm going to restore your health, and I'm going to send you to Congress to represent my people. Now, I can tell you that I had headaches for 40 years every day. I haven't had a headache since December 24th of 2020. I can also tell you that I could barely walk across the living room floor without getting out of breath. I spent 6 weeks walking 6 to 8 hours a day, 6 to 10 miles a day, getting signatures to be on the ballot. My health has now been restored. Amen. So just like what you have stated, God has called us, and I've gone out to the pastors, the priests, the ministers, and the leaders of churches, and I've told them this. And so they're the ones that are now reaching out to the congregation, and that's what's moving the deal. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Jesus Christ and what he's doing and moving in front of me, and changing the hearts and minds of the Latinos that have been Democrat, because great grandma, and mom have been Democrats. And so that's what we are. We're Democrats. And what they're finding is that when somebody actually talks to them, they find out they're not Democrat. That they are people that are just like everybody else. They want to work hard, they want to play hard, and they want to provide for their children and have a better life for their kids. And that's it. They don't want government involved in their life or anything else. And this is the great thing about me, is that God has called me for a time such as this to step in and to literally do what he has asked me to do.
Amen, Jeff. Amen. Well, I'm going to let Myra, I'm sorry. I always say Myra. I'm going to let Codi here ask you some tough questions. I know she has run for office. Listen, Codi here has really, she was a legal resident, mind you, and became a United States citizen and was able to vote for Trump, for her first time ever voting. She's been part of our organization from the very beginning. We really, she's like, well, I just want to help out a little bit. And
I want to be in the background.
I want to be in the background helping it. What was the first task I gave her? I was like, CNN is out in the Rio Grande Valley. I need you to go have a conversation. She goes, CNN? She goes, I just wanted to be in the background. And I was like, we need you. And so we threw her out there, man. We threw her out there. And she's run for office, and she really, truly understands her community. She understands. She's a block walker. Oh, my God. This girl is, if there was a gold star or trophy for block walkers, she loves to block walk. And she doesn't follow the app. She block walks, and she talks to everybody. And every door. She leaves nothing, no stone unturned. She literally has conversations, and she talks to people, and people just connect and they love her. And so I'm going to let her ask you a couple questions, because she's got tough questions for our candidates. Okay. And I want her to be able to ask you and see how you muster.
Okay.
Well, nice to meet you, Jeff. Thank you for stepping up and running and hearing that message, because we do need people running for office. That's one of the biggest tasks we have. We need people with principles, conservative values, and people that are going to stand up for we the people to run for office. Stop representing the establishment, and represent the people. One of the things that I've noticed of you speaking right now is that you and I are in kind of similar communities. I'm in South Texas, where it's been Democrat for as long as I can remember. There has been some changes, but the Democrat here in this area still has a stronghold. So what I've noticed when I've been block walking for one of the mayors is that a lot of these lower income communities are being ignored by the GOP, are being ignored by a lot of candidates that get into office. They get the vote and then they forget about them. They use their vote to get into office and don't come back. One of the things that did happen here, they did turn a seat red. I don't say I because I wasn't part of it. But the person tends to be a Republican. But one of the things that they passed is more welfare for the community. Is that something that you think is effective, or it only hurts our community even more? Giving more welfare programs to the community.
No, the thing is that God tells us that we are to give handouts, and that handout is what the Democrats and everybody else keep saying. We just want to do that. That's not exactly what the Bible says. The Bible says that if I teach a man to fish, I feed them for a lifetime. What we need to do is give hand ups. And I understand that people fall on tough times. I understand that things happen. Before the federal government actually stepped in and started doing this socialist event, our churches are the ones that would reach out and it was one-on-one with them because they were in the communities, and the churches were, when you tithe and you gave money, then they had money to give to the needy and the poor, to help them, which is exactly what God has asked us to do. And so as a minister, one of the things that I want to do is I don't have a problem giving a hand up. I have a huge problem giving handouts, because now if we look at the Native Americans and how they've been treated with the 1890 treaty and what was taking place there. And the reason why I bring them out is because I have family members that are Cod and Cherokee and Choctaw. And the thing is that they get checks from the federal government on a regular basis, so they don't have to work. The problem is that the suicide rate on the reservations are higher than any place in the United States, because it demoralizes a person. If you don't have to work, which is what God has told us, contrary to popular belief, the oldest profession in the world is gardening. God actually had Adam and Eve take care of the garden, and that's the actual deal. If you want to train up your children, then you get a garden and make them work in a garden. It's not instantaneous, and you get to see God at work as he grows plants and stuff, and they have to water and tend to those, and that hard work is what gives our lives meaning. And so this is what's more important than anything else. I want to give people meaning to their life, and to show them that giving them handouts is not the way to go. And this socialist agenda that we have, it's not biblical, and our churches are being cut out. And that's what people need. They need to hear the word of God and actually have people show them what it's like for God to put their arms around them, hug them, dress them, feed them, and help them get out of the situation that they got themselves into.
And being like from the Hispanic community, because like Bianca said, I'm a first generation Mexican. We came here. One of the things that my parents have taught us is to work for what you want. We never came in with our hand extended out. We came in to better our lives. And somewhere along the way, that has been lost. We need to, like you say, we need to encourage people to get a trade, to work. I worked in the fields at a young age. I think I was 14 or 13. And that showed me the importance of hard work. Do I want to go back to the fields? No, I got to work, smarter in order not to work harder. But right. I'm glad you said that. Another of the things that our communities are have similarities, is we are border states. You're along the border. One of the things that I have discussed, and I don't know where you stand on this, of what Governor Abbott is doing in busing the illegal aliens further into the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. We have sanctuary cities. By all means, most of the sanctuary cities are not border cities. They're not on the border. They're not on the border states. So by all means, let's do that. So what's really funny is that Abbott sent, I think it was 100 people to Chicago. They then started asking for more resources that these 100 people have broken them. And I'm sitting here looking at it and going, we have 100 plus an hour come into our state here in Arizona. Texas, I think it's almost 200 to 250 an hour.
We had 500 at one time here in McAllen. I think they had 500.
Yeah, and so you're having, so we have 4.9 million people that have entered into all of the border states just this year. Now think about that. And now what the Democrats want to do is they want to make sure that they give them an ID. Here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. They are giving Social Security numbers to people at the border now. And that's something that I said when I heard that, and we've been trying to get this out here in Arizona, and nobody will pick it up. None of the media will pick this up, that they're issuing Social Security numbers. Well, what can you do with that? Well, the Social Security number can get you a driver's license. A driver's license can get you a ballot. And that ballot now means that they're going to vote. And what are the Democrats going to do for all of those? We paid for your way to get here into the United States. We're going to take care of it. One of the things that's really aggravating is that we have a high density apartment complex that's being built. 490 apartments are all going to be on the corner of 19th Avenue and Southern Avenue. And the thing is that they're going to keep the fencing and not allow them to rent it out to people that are in families. What they're going to do is they're going to start putting illegals in there, and then they will bring food trucks in. They will feed them 3 times a day. What happens on November the 8th? They're now going to truck them in, and they're going to say, now you're going to vote, and you're going to vote for Democrats and stuff. And so think about this. If you have 490 apartments, you can have twice that amount living in those apartments. Now you're looking at 1,800 to 2,000 people just in one location going down. How many votes did they silence through this illegal activity? And this is our federal government. This is the Biden administration that is complicit in all of this. And it's hurting people like yourself who came over, did what you were supposed to do. You're more proud of the United States than the children that are being educated in our school systems today. Our school systems are teaching our children to hate America. And you probably are, and I would guess this, are very proud of America and a place that you can call the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I took an oath to defend this country against domestic, which we have a lot nowadays, and foreign and enemies. And I plan. I mean, I'm ready to defend it.
And she made 100 on her test when she became a citizen.
Yes, the person that was taking, they're not agents, I found out, the person that was giving me the test and letting me take the oath to defend the country, and he's like, you're a little bit too eager on this. I go, I'm ready. He's like, I am ready to defend this country. It's offered us so much, and that's one of the things that our parents told us. I mean, this country has offered me things that I wouldn't have done in Mexico. I mean, we see the conditions that Mexico is in, and I would not go back. I would never go back.
Well, and the thing is,
dual citizenship. I just kept my American citizenship.
Yes. And the thing is that what's really sad is that we have drones that people have flown over the border here in Arizona. And we now have military that are at the border with high-powered rifles that are picking off anybody who actually comes up and tries to prevent somebody from crossing the border. We have military type people that are now interfering. And so now we placed our Border Patrol, our ICE, and everybody in danger. And our government has somebody who's on our border that is literally doing things that are wrong and are fighting against our country, and they're doing nothing about it. And they're putting our men and women at the border in danger just for doing their job. And I think that's criminal.
Yes, our Border Patrol agents are very frustrated. I mean, when COVID was out, or the high numbers of COVID, we had agents getting sick, and they were risking their lives. And not only COVID, but every other diseases that come in through the border, because these are people that are unvetted. These are people that along the way, when they're coming here, they get sick because they go through jungles, they go through different areas. So, I mean, it's very sad to see our agents' moral attitude go down in, 2 years, in a span of 2 years, when they had one of the best presidents, in our history, late history, defending them and speaking up for them and giving them the tools that they needed and providing them the information and whatever the funding. And now they don't have anything. They don't have the support or the resources. Right.
Well, and the thing is that some of the hardest working people I personally know are Latino. they get up, roll. I mean, you get a Latino male who you pay him very well. Absolutely. They work in the fields, they pick the fruits and vegetables, they do the jobs that supposedly us Caucasians can't do or won't do, and everything else, and stuff. And the thing is that they bust their rear ends trying to make a way for their family and stuff. And when they get home, all they want to do is kind of like what I like doing. I like to make enough money that I enjoy spoiling my wife, spoiling my children, having my grandchildren have a better way of life than what I had. And the thing is that the way that this is set up with all of the taxes and the inflation and everything that we have now in place, and this is all because of this administration, people are now having to work not one job, not two, not three. Some of them I'm talking about, they're actually working 4 jobs. They're working almost 16 hours a day trying to make ends meet just in order to survive. And we can't do that. When I was a kid, that's not the way I grew up. And now my son's always complaining about, I'm working, a job during the week, and then I've got to work another job during the weekend, and the weekend helps pay for things that I want to do. Well, why doesn't that job pay for things that he wants to do? And that's because of the inflation and everything else that's going on in our country.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I constantly complain about the grocery prices, right, Bianca?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's
She
ridiculous.
told her daughter she couldn't have hot Cheetos anymore because they were $5 a bag now.
$5. Yeah. They used to be $2.99. The milk, everything is so expensive. I mean, $100 doesn't get you much. You can't.
And the sad thing about it, so let's as an educator, that's what I am. I'm an educator. Let's talk about that. What we're now looking at is a federal government that is creating and printing money, and because they print money, they then borrow that money and then give it to other or make other country or other companies borrow money from them. And so it's borrowing from borrowing to borrowing, and then it gets into our hands. And then this artificial inflation is nothing more than our federal government. Our federal government is what creates this inflation. If they said today, okay, inflation is going to be 0, they're the federal government. They can actually do that. But they keep raising the prices. We have the Federal Reserve, which is a bank that is owned by George Soros, the Rockefellers, all of these families own this. And so they lend money to our federal government, who then lends money to us. And then we pay taxes upon taxes upon taxes in order to try to pay this off. And you get countries so indebted that they can't pay these loans off, and they start to own these countries. The thing is that what's really sad, and this is something that's new that's happened, but Europe has basically cut off all of their oil, cut off all of their coal. They're not going to have enough energy to go through the winter, and they're blaming it on Russia. And Russia didn't have anything to do with it. This was their government doing this to their people themselves. So what's happening right now is the same thing. Our government is literally taking the all of the farms, and Bill Gates is buying them up. Mm-hmm. Well, Bill Gates is not a farmer, and so he's not farming. So now all of a sudden we're starting to see food shortages. Well, now they started raising the price of gasoline, and they cut off the Keystone Pipeline. The Biden administration has stopped drilling on offshore and onshore. And so now we've reduced the amount of oil and gas that we're producing. And so this is all done by our own government. They are hurting us And we've got to start having people that understand that in government and stand up and say, no, 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 you're not going to take this out on the American people. You're going to stop this. We can turn this on and start producing, and we can be self-sufficient. We just have to bring all of the industries and manufacturing back to the United States and stop sending them overseas to where we're now at the mercy of another country.
What do you propose as solutions to this?
Well, one of the very first things is we've got to turn on our oil and gas. We've got to start exporting. When Trump left the office, we were, for the very first time, exporting oil to other countries. If you want to be a savior to the Europe, turn on our oil and gas. The other thing is don't go with the lie that the Democrats are also saying. Climate change is a money-making deal for to suck money away from the American people. It doesn't exist. Let me show you. I've lived on this earth almost 60 years. I can tell you that we have climate change every year. It gets hot in the summer, it gets cold in the winter, and it's done it that way for 60 years. It's not any hotter when I was a kid than what it is today. Well, it is a little hotter because I was living in the Texas Panhandle growing up, and I'm in Phoenix, which is like walking on the face of the sun down here. You know, if you want to know what Phoenix is like in the summer, turn your oven on to 130 degrees, wait till it gets to temperature, open it up, stick your head in there, and it's a dry heat.
It is. It's so hot. It is so hot in Arizona. You got that right. Codi, I know you probably have some other policy questions that I would like you to ask Jeff here, especially some things that are also, to your heart. I know you're big on some of the policies. What else you got for Jeff?
I mean, those are some of the things that I wanted to know about. I mean, what are your solutions, or what do you suggest? I mean, it's going to take time to bring the border back to where we were at. So what are your solutions in dealing with the border situation?
Well, first and foremost, we got to start having 4 governors, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. We need those governors to not worry about the federal government. They need to take charge immediately and allocate funds. With Carrie Lake here in Arizona, one of the things that I promised her is that when I'm elected as a congressman, I will get money for her to build the wall. But those 4 governors need to stop waiting on the government, and they need to allocate that and start building the wall. They need to actually prevent people from coming in. And Trump was one of the ones that did that. And we didn't have a border issue. We didn't have people coming over, and we need to reestablish that. And so the other is this. I am sick to death, and I know that the Latinos and the Mexicans and everybody else are also sick to death of it, and that is Daca. Every 2 and 4 years, Daca is paraded in front of everybody. We're going to do something. We're going to do this for them. This is the time to do it. Okay, I'm tired of that. I've literally heard that for almost 35 years that they have are promising to do something. What I'm going to do is introduce a bill that will make a pathway so that they can become citizens. We can put this thing to rest. They can be a part of America and not be this outcast that everybody uses as a whipping child every 2 and 4 years. Those things have got to stop. And then the last is make a pathway so that when somebody wants to come into this country, they stay in that country, they do a petition. When they're vetted out and we know who they are, then they can come into this country, and then they will go through the process to become a legalized citizen. And I have no issue with that. But right now, I've got friends and family that are 20 years and are still not legal citizens because they have to pay $10,000 here and $15,000 here, and they hit them with so much money that they're not able to actually go through the process and become legalized citizens. We got to stop all this and make it where it's affordable and in a timely manner become legal citizens of the United States so they can enjoy what's going on.
So Jeff, you just struck something with us because I guess you didn't know this. Our PAC, our organization, we are probably one of the only ones out there that does not advocate or support DACA, or we don't support a road to amnesty or any kind of citizenship. We have been very, very vocal about it because of people like Myra who came here legally and earned,
Right.
got it the right way. So we don't believe in giving them anything. Is there another way, that we would be open to discuss, maybe some kind of visa or something like that, but to give them citizenship or a pathway to citizenship, our organization and our PAC.
Well, okay, so I must have misspoken or been misunderstood. The whole idea is that if you're not legal in the United States, you need to be going back to your country. So all of them need to have that. Then they can apply and go back just like everybody else. So it's not that they're here. They're here because mom crossed the border, went to a hospital, and bore a child. We also need to stop that, because if you're born in Germany at a base, you're not a German and a United States citizen. You choose one or the other. Now, if you continue staying over there, then you can get a dual citizenship. But I think what we need to do is we need to sit down, as you said, have these visas, have these people that have been here, let them go back to their country and then be able to apply, because the people who came over here correctly and did what they're supposed to, they did it the hard way. And so by giving this a pathway there, so I maybe had not made myself as clear with DACA, because what I'm saying is that we've got to figure out and stop using them. I'm tired of having them used as this political toy that they use every 2 and 4 years. That's the main thing I'm wanting to get rid of.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, the way I see it is we don't want to incentivize illegal behavior, because they have been here for a very long time. Yes, they came when they were children with their parents by no choice, but most of them are already in their 20s and 30s. So they've had several years to rectify the wrongdoing, and they have yet to do it. They could have become permanent residents. They could have become, visa something, but they choose to stay here illegally.
Exactly. And that's the point I was trying to do. Now, I was distracted because I'm trying to get Shelby Bush. I'm actually at We the People AZ Alliance office, and Shelby won't come on, and that's who I was talking to. I'm trying to get her to come on to say hi to you, Bianca, and everything.
She needs to come say hi.
She doesn't even have makeup. Her hair's not done.
Who
I can't
cares?
do it. Who
cares? Tell her to come say hi. Tell her to come stand behind you, because I need her to smack you across the head for saying that you wanted to give us pathway to citizenship. Tell her I'm gonna have to go back out to Arizona and smack you across the head for that one.
That's right. Well, and like I said, it's not that I'm trying to give the pathway. It's that we've got to sit down and stop using them as these political toys. And that's the part that I'm tired of.
I can see that, because they've been promised things and all that, but there has to be, I don't believe in giving them like, oh, here you go, we understand, oh, poor you've been here for so long, and here you go. No. There has to be a procedure, and I'm not for just handing them the citizenship. Now,
no, neither am I.
Trying to figure out a way and working with those other countries have them go back and go the appropriate way without, not punishing them for 10 years or whatever like that, but we get that. But their loyalty has to be to the United States, because you see a lot of these Daca kids and they're flying their other country flags. I'm like, if you love the country so much, then go back. Like, this is America.
That's exactly right.
I'm sure that if I went to Mexico and I started flying the America flag, I'd be shot down by the cartel immediately. I mean, it's
absolutely
not acceptable. So, it's okay to be proud of where you come from. I have no problem with that. Be proud of where you come from. But as far as, taking advantage of the United States and, hey, I get it. I'm sorry that your parents made bad choices. But
right.
Listen, if my parent made bad choices and were in prison, does it make it okay for me to also, I mean, it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, then it wasn't my fault. I get that, but I have a choice to go and correct that. And so, there has to be I believe in the immigration reform. There has to be a better way to let people come here, because what I do know from some of the people who've been here illegally, who are yardmen, cleaning people, whatever, what I do know is that they do come here to work and they send their money back to their countries, right, to help their families out. But I also know is because they're here illegally, they can't go back. Like because it's a mess to try to come back. So
they have to pay their way back again.
Yeah, they have to pay their way back again. So to work out with them to where it benefits, some of them just really are not here. They don't care to be citizens. They just want to work. And so if we just work out something to where they are given, where they have to pay taxes still, they can't commit crimes, or it'll be taken away from them. But if there's like some other avenue where they can get the best of that, but without giving them a citizenship and giving them full-blown benefits for not even being born here when they came here illegally, to me, it's wrong. So, but if we could come up with immigration reform that is some kind of you're never going to make everybody happy. I'm sorry, you're just not.
Oh, no.
These people just want this. They just want it for free. And like Codi says, we're then advocating for illegal behavior. And then it just sends a message out that, hey, listen, I've been in the United States for all these years, and listen, now I just got all my papers for free. I did nothing. I've been here, and then it sends a message to the rest of the people out there saying, oh, they don't have national sovereignty. They don't care. They're, open border. We're already struggling with the open border. Can you imagine how many people that have not been detected? You're saying 4 million. I think it's more than that. It's all the ways of people that are not being tracked, that are getting through other, open channels. And God only knows how many of them are here. And then if we just go and start handing people citizens, there's no way for us to prove how long they've been here and how long they have not been here.
Well, one of the things that's really aggravating is that the federal government says, oh, there's only like 11 million people. How about 10 times that? Mm-hmm. And especially now with the open borders that we've had for the last 2 years, we're looking at a rate that is so high. And the thing is that we have to have a government that will sit down and have elected officials that are going to say, I'm sorry, you were lied to by the last administration. We are no longer going to honor this. You are not welcomed here, and you're going to go back to your country. The thing is that when we do that, we need to make sure that the wall is in place and that these things are in place, because guess who's making billions, not millions, but billions, is the cartel in trafficking humans. And this administration is complicit in this. They are the ones that are creating this. And the reason why we know that is because we have reporters that come in and will ask people, so why are you coming? Oh, Biden said for us to come. And they would give us free things. Okay, well, if that's what they're saying there, then, that's what they're believed in. Here's the other thing that's really sad. The last time I was at the border themselves, we actually came across two people that the coyotes that was trafficking these two families. They had executed their husbands. So they had murdered them. They were trafficking the girls and the wives of the men and everything else, and they would bring them in. And then we stumbled across them, and we had the Border Patrol with us at the time. So they immediately arrested them. But the women had been raped so many times and everything, from coming from Mexico all the way through, and even the little 8-year-old girl and stuff. And this is something that people don't want to talk about. This is something that they don't want to acknowledge is happening. And the thing is that we have sex trafficking, we have human trafficking, and our government is complicit. They are causing this. And if you would shut down those borders, then they wouldn't be making money, and these people wouldn't be putting their lives in danger like that.
Yeah, I will say, because I'm going to let Codi ask you one more question, but I will say that, ask Joey Gilbert. If you know Joey Gilbert out of Nevada, you got to ask Joey Gilbert. He learned really, really quick. He tried to argue as he was running for governor, and he's an attorney, so he's good at arguing. He tried to argue with 5 Latina women, because he was the same as you. He was like, oh, well, I want to help the Daca kids and, blah, 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 because he thought that's what he had to do. And he argued with 5 Latina women. Let me tell you, he didn't win the argument. That he literally went back and he restructured the way his policy was going to, how he was going to approach the immigration policy. And he restructured it. And let me tell you, I just interviewed with him today on his show, Gloves Off. And let me tell you something. The Latino people loved him. They didn't need you to tell them that you were going to give them DACA and give them, they cared about their job, that you're not meddling and telling them what they can and cannot do, or they have to close their business or can't send their kid to school, or that they got to get immunized or not immunized. They don't like to be controlled. And so he earned favor for being a fighter and a champion for the people, because our culture, we don't like to be bullied. We hate bullies. We don't like to be told what to do, and we do not like government control. And so, but you're exactly right. So he learned very quickly. I'm like, dude, you're not going to win this argument. You got 5 Latina women who are telling you, all of us here are telling you, you're not going to win the Latino vote because you are sympathetic to DACA or sympathetic to this pathway to citizenship. Right. And and let me tell you, it bugged him all night. We were in Utah. It bugged him all night that when he got up to go work out in the morning, he left a note under our door, and Frankie Rodriguez has it. She still has the note, and she showed me this week because I interviewed her, and she was like, guess what I found in my stuff? And she pulled it out, and she had this note, and I was like, oh my God, you kept that. And when Joey Gilbert went back, he literally sat and thought about how he was going to address the issue of legal and illegal immigration. And he changed his stance. We didn't say, hey, but he changed his stance because we brought a new perspective to him. And so I hope that out of our conversation here, that we have brought some type of new perspective, because necessarily our Latino community is, they're tired of being used, but they're not necessarily they're not begging for you to give them citizenship. They're looking to be able to work. They don't want to be, like the Nazis, where you knock on their door and just kick them over across the border. That's what they're afraid of, but they're not necessarily begging for you to give them some piece of paper. So, at the end of the day, that's where our stance is. So I'm glad we had this conversation and we're able to
absolutely.
So I told you Codi was going to be tough on these questions. See, I'm so biased because I love you and you're my dear friend. So, but this is why we have balance in our organization and our pack, because this is what we do. So Codi, I'm going to let you finish it off here and ask him one last question, and then we will be signing off.
The last question that I have is everything that's going on right now in the fight for our children. We see that they are being groomed by pedophiles, because that's mainly what they are. Not all, but the majority of the drag queen shows, whoever's doing the drag queen, have been proven to be a pedophile. with a record. So we have bars and we have business owners letting children go in and see this striptease. If you take your son, or if I take my daughter to go watch a strip show at the age of 14, that's considered, child endangerment or grooming.
Yes.
So what do you think you can do to prevent this and to bring punishment to those business owners that are allowing children to be part of this grooming in their premises?
Well, that's going to be a 4-point deal. First and foremost, we got to have prosecutors that are willing to prosecute people, both their parents and the people that are actually running these shows. The second is that we've got to start getting board supervisors that are a part of the school boards that are watching the literal curriculum and not allowing anybody there. And if they do, call the police and have these people arrested for child endangerment. The other is that getting prosecutors to prosecute people and have judges that are willing to put the stiff fines and the long-term jail sentences on people there. So if you do these 4 things, you should be able to curb this and to let them know that we as Americans and people, and it doesn't matter what culture you're in, our children are off limits. We do not want anybody grooming them. We do not want them with critical race theory. We don't want them to be transgendered or anything else. And the thing is that it also has to have where teachers are arrested immediately if they start trying to talk to these children about transgendering or becoming bisexual or anything else. They are there to teach them to read, write, do arithmetic, and have critical thinking skills. That's it. The sex part and all of that is left up to the parents. That's their job to talk to them, not anybody else's. So that's one of the things that our children have to be left alone and allow them to be children instead of actually doing anything. Because here's the thing, psychology says that if any child is sexually abused or abused, they do not function as adults very well. And the thing is that if they do this and they're subjected to it, those will be adults that will not be functioning as adults. So all of this has got to stop.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Well said. We thank you very much for joining us. Where can people follow you or find you on the campaign trail, and how can they donate to your cause so that you can keep going out there and talking to the community and making sure that they get out the vote?
Oh, absolutely. You can go to Jeff Zink, and my last name is Z as in zebra, INK. So jeffzink4congress.com. Doesn't matter if it's the number 4 or FOR. Either one still goes to the same website. You can find me on all of the different social media. Real Jeff Zink. There's, I think, there's only 2 of them that show up as Real Jeff Zink for Congress, and those are the ones that I get kicked off for saying things very similar to what I just said in this interview.
One question: are you on Getter?
I am on Getter, Real Jeff Zink.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, then, Getter family, to go follow Jeff Zink on Getter and his website. Visit his website if you believe in his cause and want to help him out in Arizona. Remind us what congressional district that is again.
It's Congressional District 3. And again, it's Jeff Zink for Congress. You can hit the donation button at the very top there. And I always tell everybody, if I had $1 from 1 million people, I have $1 million. And that would go a long way in defeating Reuben.
I will encourage people to buy you a cup of coffee, is what I always say. Buy a cup of coffee, give them $5, give them $10, give them 2 cups of coffee. 2 cups of coffee buys him a yard sign, and he needs those yard signs. He needs road signs. He needs all the help that he can get. And so we want to make sure that we either definitely decrease the margin in that area, or that we completely just flip it. So all is possible. All things are possible with God. I want to thank Conservative Codi for joining me tonight. Remember, you can follow Conservative Codi as well on Getter, and where can they find you?
Codi
Getter. Because you've been censored on every platform. So what is it? Conservative Codi? Where do they find you?
It's Codi CAG at Getter.
Codi CAG.
Codi CAG, yes.
Codi CAG. Go follow Codi CAG and tune in on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. She will be interviewing all of our endorsed candidates on Sunday nights and asking them these real tough questions. Isn't she? She's tough, man. She's going to ask you straight up, and we want to know what you're representing and what you're going to, how you're going to go and represent the people, and what kind of person you're going to be in office, and the policies that you will be championing. So I know that you are very big on election integrity, as you were a huge part of the audit in Arizona. We didn't get to talk about that tonight, but maybe when we can bring you back on so that we can talk about that experience later on. I think right now we just need to get you in office.
Absolutely.
And so we thank you so much for joining us on Stand Up, Stand Out America with Bianca, Gracia, and Conservative Codi tonight. And so we are live on Getter, and then on Friday it will be replayed on all of our other platforms. So if you missed it, or you want to share it with somebody, or let people know, this interview will be rebroadcasted on all of our other platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and Patriot TV Live. So we thank you for tuning in, guys. As I always say, peace out from Latinos for America First. And thank you, Conservative Codi, for coming on and tune in on Sunday nights. I don't know who your first one. I think we're trying to get Laura Loomer for you to interview Laura Loomer. So we're hoping that happens for you on Sunday. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to start talking to a lot of our candidates going forth into November. So thank you, Jeff. Hey, money kisses. Tell Shelby that I'm going to get her on this podcast one of these days. She needs to come say hi.
There's Steve.
There's my other half. Love you guys. Hey, can you hit him across the head? Can you hit him across the head over there? He wants to give people amnesty. Hit him across the head. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, not amnesty. I was wanting to try to make sure that we made a pathway in getting them citizens, not trying to give them amnesty. That's not what I was.
That's amnesty, Jeff. Amnesty is giving them citizenship. That's amnesty. It just
but they got to do it right. They got to come in just like everybody else and do it right.
Okay.
They can't do it.
I'm glad we cleared that up. Listen, I'm going to give you a hard time. I'm glad we cleared it up. But that's good. That's good.
We don't give gifts. We make everybody work hard for what we do.
That's right. That's right. Well, we appreciate you guys out in Arizona, and for doing everything you guys do. This country owes you, and Shelby and Steve there, and all of our other friends out there in Arizona. We owe you a gratitude. We hope that as soon as we can get Governor, Carrie Lake in, that maybe once and for all, we will see a decertification of the state of Arizona. And that will be a ripple effect, I think, across the nation. So we thank you so much. And listen, my friend, we will talk to you later.
All right.
Again.
All right.
Thank you guys later. Thanks so much for tuning in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.